Hello. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first ABCR committee meeting of 2025. We're just getting started here um, with letting folks trickle in. So I'm going to not officially start the meeting till 7:05, but just wanted to say if you are here, welcome, and we'll get started soon.
All right, Benjamin, let's go. Come on.
Okay. Good evening. The time is now 7:05, and I am going to officially start the meeting. Going to write here in the minutes that the meeting is started at 7:05 p.m. Um, Thank you all for joining tonight. Welcome. Um, this is the first ABCR committee meeting for ANC 1B for 2025. To uh, jump into introductions. My name is Stephen Hanrahan. I have been voted in as chair of the ABCR committee by ANC 1B. I was just recently also voted in as a commissioner of ANC 1B in November. Um, my single member district is 1B09, and I am taking over for Tucker Jones, who unfortunately has moved out of the neighborhood. I can no longer serve his role of commissioner, and he has graciously reached out to me over the summer and asked if I was interested, and I said yes, and here we are. So um, I I'm excited for this opportunity to kind of chair a committee and to facilitate these discussions. Um, I have heard that the ABCR committee is involved. There's a lot of dates and details and a lot of business that goes on here. So I'm happy to try and do the best job as chair to try and keep us on track as a committee to try and make sure we are aware of all the dates and are following up with any action items. And we also have good facilitated discussions. Don't believe there are any licensed uh, entities in my single member district. So we will probably often be joined by other commissioners from ANC 1B, who's uh, they are the commissioner jurisdiction of for their placard or license that's being discussed. And to kind of, give that heads up. But yeah, as chair, I want to try and just kind of help facilitate good discussions here and get everyone make sure we kind of stay on track and achieve our goals. Um, so I think with that introduction for myself, I think this is going to be essentially a new committee. So everyone reapplied. Um, and what we have here, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the panelist. You've all been if you are a panelist, you applied to be a committee member, and congratulations, you are a committee member. So you might have been doing this for 30 years. So you probably maybe you've known the process better than me. But for if maybe you're a first time as well. So I just want to say welcome. Basically anyone who had applied to be a committee member is granted a committee member. I believe we had sorry, I think we have seven folks who are currently listed as committee who are signed on right now the Zoom as committee members. We've got a total of potentially eight other applications. So we might have another folk join us later this evening, or perhaps they are no longer interested um, in being involved. Regarding being a member of the committee, I do not have uh, a plan or a goal right now. If you attend, you are a committee member. If you, for some reason, stop attending meetings, we may perhaps miss like 3 or 4 meetings in a row, then perhaps that might affect your committee member status. But for right now, if you've applied, welcome. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for your expertise and for your willingness to be involved in your community and helping to make U Street, Shaw, Duke District a better place. Um, so with that, I'd actually like to take attendance for the meeting for the current committee members. Again, if you are listed as a committee member in your Zoom, you should see it be listed under your name. And so I'm going to go around and call out your name and ask if you are present. Frank Chauvin.
Present. Chauvin. Thank you.
Chauvin.
Yes.
I apologize.
Appreciate it.
Eileen Johnson.
Present. Welcome to the committee, Stephen.
Thank you. Alex Smith.
Present.
Not seen them, but Connie Bezad. Rachel Scheckman.
Present.
Ashley Fields, former Commissioner Ashley Fields.
Present.
Karen Gall.
Present.
And Stephen Rogers. Rutgers, sorry. Rutgers, sorry.
Present.
Didn't know that. My grandparents live in New Brunswick. Great. Okay, so we have a welcome all to the committee. Congratulations, you are committee members. We have a quorum, and I will add to the minutes with a quorum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 committee members, 7 out of 8. We are able to conduct the meeting. Okay. Frank, I see you have your hand up.
Just a quick question. Who, there was one other person though that's supposed to be here, and can you re-enumerate or iterate their name?
Yes, that's Connie Bezad.
Bazad?
Yes.
And how do you spell their last name, if you would?
Behzad.
All right. Thank you. I don't know them, but I was curious who they are. Thank you.
Sure thing. And I will reach out to them after this meeting and see if they are still interested in being a member of the committee this year. Okay. All right. So first some I guess some kind of like housekeeping and some general management. So the schedule for this meeting, we plan on kind of keeping the same schedule as was done prior, with being the third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. I believe committee members, you should all be receiving invites for the recurring meetings. If not, please visit the website and you can gain access to them. For general participants, and if someone also knows, please correct me, I believe everyone would have to register individually for each meeting as that happens. Karen, do you know if that is how that works for the schedule?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Is it do the committee members, will the committee members have the schedule, the Zoom calendar invite, the recurring calendar invite on their, will the committee members have the Zoom invite recurring on their calendar? And then the panelists are the other folks who are attending, they will have to kind of, if they're interested in attending, they'll have to sign up each time.
I believe both invites allow an option to be added to their calendar. So I think we're good on both fronts.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, that's great. All right, if anyone has any questions,
Just noting, I have this meeting and the next meeting, but nothing after that in terms of invites. So I see in one of the invites that there's like several listed, but
okay.
Yeah,
Just
no,
flagging
thank
on
you for
that.
that. Yep. I'm Karen Lee. I'm the admin consultant for ANC 1B. And so we're working on making sure that all of the links are up to date and things like that. So I'll push
Awesome.
out another reminder that we'll have once we get those dates confirmed. We'll make sure that they get on your calendar.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Great. And speaking of dates, I know we're starting off strong. We're having great momentum here. There is a slight chance I actually may not be able to make the the next the March time, and I might have to reschedule that. I have some tentative plans from the 16th to the 19th, and I just have to confirm if I will have the availability to be there the night of the 19th at 7 p.m. or not. So if I am able to do that, I would like to send out an invite for either the Thursday the 20th or Wednesday I don't know if I could do Thursday 20th either. Or maybe I could. I think I could do Thursday 20th or Wednesday the 26th. I don't know if we need to vote on that.
We'll need to check that. I'm going to jump in here. Our Zoom can only handle one meeting at a time. So we'll need to check the other committee calendars to make sure there's no conflicts. So maybe it's a question we can resolve over email once you figure out if you're available.
Okay. Okay, great. Yay. Thank you, Karen. Okay, I will circle back with folks for that. All right, so and then kind of going off of that, the goals for the committee. I don't know if I have any. My goals are kind of to try and you know, come to negotiate terms and kind of advocate for the best possible outcome for our community as a whole. My goal is, as chair, as kind of mentioned before, is just to try and help to make sure that we stay on top of the process, that we have good open communication as best as possible with businesses and residents. That's really my goal, is just to have kind of the best communication as possible with businesses and residents, and kind of lean on the process that we have and the great support we have from people and the expertise of the group to come up with the best solutions possible. I don't know if anyone else has any other things that they would like to jump in on for goals of the committee, or prior goals of the committee, but feel free to jump in if you would like. Frank.
Yes, appreciate your leadership here. Is it Steve or Steven?
Steven, but you can call me Steve, but I always introduce myself as Steven.
All right. Steven, then I just wanted to say I'm going to be putting in the chat the number of licenses in each of the specific SMDs. And I think so. You have one licensee, according to my records. Are you not seeing that licensee in your list? But I'm going to paste as soon as I can because I have to email it to myself for some reason. But there's the most licenses are in SMD 1B02. Followed with 67 licenses. And I'm going to post this, but I just wanted to ensure that there's lots of discussion this year on where the licenses are located and what that means to the communities that live around all of the licenses, and what we can do as a committee and as an ANC to make it easier and make it better for the folks that have all of these licensees. And I'd like to just say at the end of I am the commissioner, immediate past commissioner for 1B02. My term ended on the 1st or 2nd of this year. And I had the most licenses with 67 licenses. And I'm going to post this as soon as I can, so I should have posted it first, but I'll get it out in a minute. But the second amount of licenses are 1B08, which are just to the west of 1B02, and that's Commissioner Sable Harris's district. She has 52. Other than that, there's between 1 and 12 licenses in every district. There's 1, 2, 3 SMDs with only one license. There's there's an SMD with 3 licenses. And so I just wanted to be certain that the conversations that have been held over the last couple of years, 3 years probably, where we found $20,000 and worked through the budget, there's $20,000 in legal fees now that we have, you should be aware of and know of and how to spend, that we properly expend those monies to advocate for the residents that live around the 67 licenses and the 57 licenses particularly. But that as of December of this past year, we had a resolution at the ANC that staff, I think that's you, Karen. I think you're maybe assigned to this committee. Is that what my understanding here, because you're here tonight, that you would be focusing more, because there was a resolution saying that the priority from the commission would be would include a large focus by our beloved staff member or consultant Karen, who would spend an not inordinate amount of time, but the most time to get things in order for this commission. So I'd like to carry over that resolution that's in the minutes for the December 2024 meeting, and that we can in fact ensure that all of Karen's expertise and brilliance that she's reflected since I've come to meet with her before she was hired here at the commission, and the results she's been bringing, but that we in fact get what we need with her administrative skills, planning, and ability to get things that we haven't seen in too long, which are all of the items and documents for each entity that comes before us, for each renewing license, for each new license, for each what's the third class? The items where they'd like to expand their services, and the term's eluding me for a moment. But all of those things require, we have a set of documents in order to evaluate them. And that includes a copy of the license. That includes a copy of the investigative history for that license if they're renewing or looking for a substantial change. That's the third type I was trying to get off my chest here, off my tongue. But also whether there's been a log perhaps from ABCA on all complaints, because often the investigative history doesn't have all the complaints. And according to the maybe 250 or is it 240 pages of the 2 codes that guide this committee, that guide alcohol processing, alcohol licensing, and alcohol code, Title 23 and 25. If anybody's interested in learning more, you go to abca.dc.gov. And you can find those 2 codes and what sort of are a paradigm and structure for our work and the work in our communities for alcohol licensing. But in fact, so I'm starting to ramble just a little, so I apologize. But I just wanted to be certain Karen's on board to help us get in order, because we've been out of order for quite some time, and I want to make sure we start a good year and we have all of the documents to review. And so that we focus more on these 2 SMDs and what the commission can come to bear to help these 2 SMDs that are overburdened, overwhelmed, and can't appropriately manage all of these licenses, all of these agreements, the good conduct, good affairs of all of these establishments without more help from this commission that seems to have been missing for too many decades, because we just haven't focused on this corridor that, unfortunately, everybody sitting here tonight, the onus is on us. We're the only responsible parties to make sure we have an operating corridor. Okay. And while that's a big responsibility, it's no less we're the only ones that have that responsibility. And so I take it quite seriously. And I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I appreciate you hearing me this evening.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yes. And I want to, again, extend thanks to Karen, who I guess I've taken for granted that she's been here since my time joining ANC 1B, but she has been extremely helpful and very supportive. I think to that point, I think we have a one goal that I think we're really going to try and do is just kind of be on top of the tracking sheet, or we are in the midst of, we have a tracking sheet, you know, and just trying to our best to post it on the website, link to it on the after committee section of ANC 1B website, with up to date, you know, with where the licenses are, where they're being, what their stage they are in for application, when their roll call meeting is, or protest date, or if there's been a settlement agreement reached, as well as also trying to document settlement agreements that we have, that we come up with or have been decided on. It is a lot of work. I think I'm new. I think Karen is also relatively new. So we are definitely, I think we hear you, and we're going to try and keep, you know, going forward to keep as organized as possible for that. So I think that that point is definitely taken. But I think yeah, so the point is definitely taken. So thank you for that.
And one last comment. One of the best, 5 years ago, one another committee chair preceding you was from your SMD or way up north. I call it way up north of 1B,
Yeah.
without licenses, but they were one of the best committee chairs we've ever had. So, we're looking out for lots of your success here, and mirroring the great success of this prior chair that served from probably your commission, or there was some redistricting, so around your commission area. But anyway, I appreciate your volunteerism and your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Excited for that as well. Um, um,
What was the music and the countdown clock that was on the screen and the time's up? Can you, what was that?
Sorry about that. I think that was the just kind of just to have like a general time, or time for, you know, folks to speak, and just to kind of give a little friendly reminder that if for like a 3 minute talking time. But that's, yeah, it was like it's like a built-in Zoom timer to for voicing, uh for people's times to share. Okay, I realized that that once we kind of took attendance, I didn't actually go around the room and talk about and give everyone a chance to talk about why they introduce themselves, and talk about like why they wanted to be a member of the committee. Um, so I think I'd like to do that now. And I am going to just go around and call people at random. Can we hear from Alex Smith?
Hi, all. Yeah, I'm very excited to be part of this committee. I've been in the neighborhood. I grew up not in DC, but in Maryland, outside the city, and have been in the neighborhood since 2021. Really love everything that this community has been and has to offer. And I've also seen some like potential bad actors impacting the community, and would like to be involved in helping make sure this is a community where we can all thrive.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. Eileen Johnson.
Thanks, Stephen. I've been in the neighborhood since 1998, and I've been a member of this committee for I don't know how long, but quite a long time. I'm committed to sustainability for our neighborhood and for our residents, and I'm happy to be a support for you with anything you need. I've been a party to a party of five, protests in numerous cases, have argued cases, have negotiated cases, have negotiated settlement agreements. And so I have a lot of experience, and I'm happy to continue being on the committee, even though it doesn't often fall at a really good time for me. But I'm happy to be here because I agree with what Frank has expressed about the importance of managing the licenses in our community. And I'm in 1B08. So, yeah, just piggyback on what Frank said and what Alex said, and what you said. Thanks.
Thanks. Ashley Fields.
Yeah, it's great to be on the call. Definitely great to see some familiar faces. My name's Ashley, like you said. I was the commissioner for the last term representing 1B07, and I still stay in that neighborhood. I've been in the commission area for 5 years, and so it's been great to get to know our neighbors. I think working through this committee, there's definitely a special connection that you get to have with also business owners that are in the area. I think for me, a priority is making sure that a lot of them are able to attend these calls and sort of understand the processes that, neighbors sort of use to, build good agreements with the communities that they hope to serve and hope to bring customers into. So, we're really excited to see that this committee has grown and happy for the work that we'll do and excited to support you.
Thank you. Stephen Rutgers.
Hello, I'm Stephen Rutgers. I have lived in DC now for almost 18 years. I was an original co-founder of the 17th Street Festival back in 2010, so I've been very involved just in DC community in general. But I co-own and opened Crush at 2010 14th Street this past April. So wanted to just join the committee because I think it's important to have voices of some local business owners on here as well.
Happy to have you. Thanks. Karen Gall.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Gall, and I am a 1B, I have residence in 1B04 and 1B05 here, and I serve as the chair of the ANC 1B04 Civic Association and also the chairwoman of the 3rd District Metropolitan Police Department, CAC, and I'm deeply engaged in public safety initiatives, community accountability, and civic engagement efforts across Washington, D.C., but especially here in 1B. I appreciate any time that I can engage with our community and this committee. I've been serving on this committee for quite some time. And as a native Washingtonian, I always believe in working towards any way that we can to ensure responsibility for our businesses, ensure responsibility within the business practices and balancing any of the economic vitality of our community, and also listening to the community's concerns and working to foster a safe and thriving environment for all of our residents in 1B and beyond. And given my background in public safety and mediation and community engagement, I am just always eager to contribute on how, and offer insights on how alcohol and cannabis regulations intersect with public safety and the quality of life in our city, as well as the community well-being for all of our neighborhoods, not just one specialized neighborhood. I believe that we need to ensure that all of the businesses are heard, all of the residents are heard, and that we, work together in a collaborative fashion by, again, like I say, listening to the community's needs, supporting the policies, and, making sure that we work towards enforcement of these settlement agreements, that they just don't sit dormant and just have a one-time signature, and also making sure that we have transparency in any of our actions and activities that we do in the community, and that we welcome open discussions from everyone and work together effectively. So thank you and welcome, Stephen. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you as well. Frank.
Yes, so, I guess I've been sort of introduced by all my comments. I have served on this committee for 6 years, and have lived on the U Street corridor for 32 of my 33 years here in Washington, D.C. And presently 20 years on the east side. I used to live on the west side of U Street, but 20 years on this east side off of 9th and T, between T and Westminster on 9th Street. And I am here to ensure that I represent a substantial number of people down the corridor who like and love this corridor, who choose to live here, and who want it to be a better place than it is. And part of that has to do with zoning. Part of that has to do with the work we do here. But it's really a balance between the what I call 16,000 people that live within a block or two of U Street, not counting, all of the commission area, but about 16,000 people live within a block or two of U Street and choose to live here. And I hold the value that we continue to coexist in a way that has not been seen as well as it should be. Because we have served the brunt, this corridor, of the pandemic. We have all of the anyway. I don't mean to sound lectury. I just, I'm here to make sure we can coexist, and that it's my duty to serve my neighbors and work with good business owners to have good neighbor agreements, though we call them a settlement agreement, and though the process is called a protest process. It's really just trying to be able to have good neighbor agreements through the protest process and settlement agreements. That is probably our duty here at the table. But it's also a discussion of, the protocols by ABCA, the protocols by zoning, the protocols by the Office of Planning, that work to either serve or inhibit the coexistence that I believe is not being well served, but is an increasing voice to be well served, and I'm here to serve that voice of coexistence. So thank you.
Thanks, Frank. And last but not least, Rachel Scheckman.
Hi, Rachel Scheckman. This is my first time serving on the committee. I moved to DC in LaGroix Park in 2021, and I live behind a few nightclubs and was able to successfully negotiate settlement agreements with one of them, which has led to a very good relationship with the owner and improved conditions for the entire community. And it's extended out to reaching out to some of our other neighbors and businesses to help make safety improvements that have benefited the community as a whole. And figured be good to lend my expertise in being able to do those negotiations to the committee.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Great. Okay, well, we have a great group here. I think we have a lot of expertise, and also a lot of voices from different backgrounds and people who are coming at this from different angles. So I'm really happy to have you all. Thank you for joining. I hope we'll get to know each other well as the time goes on. And I look forward to working with you guys all on this. Okay. All right. So I think we can now start to get into some items of business that we have for the committee. So the first item that I included that probably don't need to include, but the Good Smoke, a settlement agreement was reached with Good Smoke, which is at 1843 U Street. It came in through I think in my inbox. I can share it with the committee following this meeting, or try to bring it up now. I don't know if any folks here worked on that, but it came in. It seems to have come in on February 5th, 2025. Generally old news for an applicant for a new medical cannabis retail license. So just wanted to give the committee an update on that settlement agreement has been reached and approved as of February 5th, 2025. Is there any discussion on that item?
Did you want to send it to us via email so that we can view it?
Yes, I will do that. Is it okay if I send it after the meeting?
Certainly for me.
Okay, great. Great. Good. All right. I will do that. Okay. All right, hearing no motion for that, then I think move on to the next item of business to introduce. This item is the Lounge U, which is 911 U Street Northwest. This applicant filed for a, let me bring up their information here. Lounge U. Yes, ANC 1B received the placard for a Lounge U on December 27th, 2024. The protest for the petition deadline was February 10th, 2025. They applied for a Class C restaurant, and at the commission meeting of 1B, which was held on also bring up the information. At the commission meeting for ANC 1B on Thursday, February 6, 2025, ANC Advisory Neighborhood Commission 1B voted with 6 yeas to protest the new license application of Lounge U on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet. And they have followed this, and there is a roll call hearing date set for March 3rd, 2025, as well as a protest hearing date for April 9th, 2025. We actually have reached out to the contact for the business, Mr. Jeff Jackson, who I believe actually might be an attendee on this call. Mr. Jackson, are you with us right now?
Yes, I am.
Hello. Hello, Mr.
Hi, how are
Jackson.
you?
Hi. Hi, I'm doing well. Mr. Jackson, I thank you for joining. I reached out to you. I know kind of just getting started here, but I wanted to uh, give you some ability to speak on the to kind of speak on if you would like to kind of introduce yourself and maybe speak to the license that you are seeking from the ABCA and yes, and you could kind of introduce yourself and the license for the business entity you were trying to seek for ABCA.
Yes, so Lounge U would be located at 911 U Street Northwest. It would be owned and operated by Keaton, who also has two other establishments on U Street, which is 915 U and 917 U. It would be a full-service restaurant with an occupancy of approximately 110 people on the inside, and he's looking at doing a summer garden with an occupancy of, say, 60 people. So he's going through a complete renovation of the building right now. So we don't anticipate that it would exceed that amount, but whatever the city would allow, but that's our limit of the occupancy that we are seeking. And I have Mr. Keaton on the line also to introduce himself, and he can speak further about the restaurant.
Oh, is he? Yes, is he separately online? Let me promote him to speaker. Hello, Mr. Keaton.
Hello, how are you guys?
Doing okay. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for everybody for joining us and doing everything that you guys do for the neighborhood. It's always greatly appreciated. Like Mr. Jackson said, I am attempting to open another full restaurant type style establishment at 911 U Street Northwest. This is going to be something that is extremely loungy. My goal is to have reservations only style seating, basically, so I don't add any more chaos or anything to U Street. I want something that you're able to walk in with a reservation, sit down at a table, order from a QR code, so nobody's staying at the bars or anything. Then bartenders and servers bring you your drinks. It's high end, high class, no DJs, no jukebox on the walls, no TVs, anything of that nature.
Um, thank you for this. Thank you both for attending. That's great. I'm glad that you're here. I was just kind of taking some notes on what you on some of the things that you mentioned. I think that the ANC and hearing the committee had some concerns regarding that the location is within the Shaw moratorium zone. Is that that with the tavern moratorium, and that even though this is a restaurant license, the license has much of the same things that are being applied for as the original tavern license, which was rescinded. So I think there was some hesitancy by the ANC that this would kind of conflict with some of the moratorium zone that has been created. I don't know if either of you wanted to speak to that item, to speak to the some of the applying for the restaurant license after the tavern license, and yes, if you wanted to speak to any of those concerns.
Right. So the restaurant license is not going to have any form of entertainment.
Thank you. Okay. I see some hands are up. I'm going to call on Alex Smith.
Yeah, quick question. So this is me just being new to some of the licenses and regulations, but if it's a restaurant, you mentioned like bartenders will come with drinks. Is there also food going to be served? I guess like what makes this a restaurant versus a tavern?
Well,
Yeah,
for a restaurant, the difference is a restaurant, you have to have 45% food sale requirements, whereas a tavern, you don't need any food sale requirements.
And so is there planning to be like a full-scale commercial kitchen and chef in the back?
Yes, it's going to be a kitchen, correct?
Thanks. I can turn it over to Frank or Ashley.
That'd be great. Thank you, Alex.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Would it be possible, or do you guys have camera? Would you mind coming on to camera so we could see you? And I'd like to say I appreciate both of you here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me see.
If you can, that'd be great. I
No, no,
appreciate it.
no. I'm trying to
But I'll go on until anyway. You know, it's not.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
not.
gonna interrupt real quick, Frank. I just promoted them as panelists, so it might
Okay.
be
Okay.
the
All right.
reload, but
All
they'll
right.
be able to turn their camera on as panelists.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So I thank you for both being here, and uh, Chair I'm sorry, I'm going to mix you up with Larry Handerhan.
Yeah, Hanrahan. Yeah,
Stephen
probably similar last
Hanrahan.
names.
Um, I thank you for having both folks here, Mr. Fedak and Mr. Jackson, because it's important to me and the past committee members to have both uh, an agent and the owner here, so we can ask questions and learn a little bit about you and your experience, and to hear it from the owner yourself versus just an agent. So, Mr. Fedak, I appreciate you being here. Can you tell me, you mentioned something about 915U and 1917U. What are those? They don't ring a
So,
bell?
so my little history of U Street is I was the general manager for about 5 years of Dirty Goose at 913 U Street. And then right after COVID, near the ending months, I took over what was formerly known as Velvet Lounge in Dodge City, which reside at 915 and 917 U Street. So they've been open for, one's been open for 3 years, the other one's been open for 2 years. Basically, they are kind of like a little potluck of everything at that bar. We have the back patio, the summer garden areas. We also have like a small little dance floor on our second floor, and just a lot of different vibes. We've had 3 years of success, and then no issues with Abra at all. And so I've been on U Street for about 10 years. I reside at like 14th and W. So it's kind of basically home for me at this point. For me as an owner, I understand where all the um, uh, reservations are coming from with all the licenses that are happening and stuff around our area. And I do say that I'm the owner that kind of takes care of everything on my block. So I am the person who's like in the back alleyway cleaning up extra trash that fell out from the dumpsters from everybody else's businesses, or cleaning up the streets when I'm just out there doing my stuff. I want to see that little community grow and become something better than what it is currently. So my goal is to kind of expand what I brought to the area already.
So thank you for that review. So doesn't sound like there's restaurants in your background though, right? There's not really a lot of
Not
food.
not in DC. I didn't have any restaurants, but I've been in this business for 20 years. I used to run a tavern at home in Pennsylvania where it was basic. I've been into everything from dive bars with shots and cans of beer to high class martinis bars where we're serving like $70 steaks. So I have a wide variety of experience. So yeah.
And is there a menu that you have ready for this location that you're applying for that we can see? If not, when
I
might
don't
it
have
be
any,
available?
no, nothing yet. Because to be honest, I'm kind of waiting on this process to kind of finalize a lot of the details and stuff until we really get the architect and everything in there to see what we could do. But the idea would be kind of like charcuterie, wines, Manhattans, um, upscale cocktails. The food menu wise would be small sandwiches, charcuterie boards. Um, Nothing too extravagant. I feel like DC is kind of has that if you want to go to the place, but they just don't have a small place where it's easy to walk into, get a nice Manhattan, have a little charcuterie board, a sandwich with some chips, where you just hang out and relax.
Thank you. And as Chair Hanrahan noted, I know there's other folks on the call that have concerns about it being in a moratorium area, and that you first came in with a tavern license and realized you weren't allowed to have a tavern license under the moratorium zone. And so now we're coming back with a restaurant. I am continuing to be very, very deeply interested in a restaurant, so that has restaurant feel vibes. And so, I don't know how we get there. I don't know how to, without impinging upon your creativity and your intents. But again, there's a contrast. One was a tavern, and you're coming back as a restaurant. So there must be something different, and so you'll have to redo. I think it's quarterly reporting of food. That is that correct, Mr. Jackson? That it's quarterly reporting of food
That's
sales,
correct.
and
Yeah.
and also that report will say that it's 40%, right, and not 45%. Is that correct, Mr. Jackson?
No, it's 45%.
45%. Okay. So that will show up. So all of your sales must be 45% food. So, hopefully there's not a disconnect in your, intents and your past aspirations for a tavern and what you might need to do for restaurant and reporting, because that's very important to the neighborhood. I was also a co-leader in the moratorium that sits before us in our neighborhood. And I know we allowed for the application for restaurants because we want good restaurateurs. We want the Mardi Gras to come down a little so that we can enjoy our homes a block away, half a block away, across the street. And so whatever you can do to get us there, and potentially an agreement, what I call a good neighbor agreement or the settlement agreement, I'd appreciate. And Lastly, you might know there's a bunch of residences across the street in the apartment, and I'd say the condo. Is it the loft, the fold?
Yep.
But then behind you, there's a bunch of row houses on Vermont Avenue.
I used to live in one.
And there's a bunch of folks who've lived there for 40 years, and some of them are very active and want to make sure that your operations don't prevent them from sleeping, and the noise. So we're going to want to pay a lot of attention to hours on the back of your your deck and your sun garden. So that's very important. And I don't know what we've allowed so far, but I hope it's all open for discussion so that we can have a good neighbor agreement and that you can work within the community. And lastly, I have one more thing on zoning. The zoning application that was approved by zoning, are we certain that it has been reviewed for the arts overlay maximum or ceiling of 50% cap on eating and drinking establishments in the 900 block of U Street? Are you certain that you guys have approval through that process? I know you went to zoning, but I'm not certain they looked at the 50% cap. And I just want to be certain we're all on the same page and that, in fact, you've been reviewed for that 50% cap for eating, drinking establishments. Because as it stands now, I'm not convinced that zoning has reviewed for that 50% cap. And
Definitely
Thanks,
something we have to
Frank. I
look
just
into.
also want to be mindful that Commissioner Ashley Fields has her hand up as well, but to just answer, if you could answer the quick question right now on the zoning aspect, and then maybe go back to this in more discussion and return to this in more discussion after.
Yes, so ABRA requested that zoning requirement. Matter of fact, as a result, believe yesterday or the day before, and that was submitted to them.
so
Can you repeat what was the decision with the?
Well, ABRA felt that it qualified, that they was able to apply for the CR license.
Okay.
So I just like to wrap up with a concluding comment on zoning, since it's quite important to this neighborhood. That if you could help us, it's not ABCA that decides whether you comply with the zoning code. We have silos working here, and it's not to the betterment and improvement and understanding of me and my neighbors or yourselves. It's you apply with zoning. Zoning then reviews the code and sends to ABCA that you're approved. So ABCA doesn't make the decision that whether you're really applying and adequately comply with the code. They just see a little certificate or hear from zoning. So my question is about the zoning review, and I have continuing questions and just want to be certain that we can ensure that all zoning has been properly approved. If you could help me with that, Mr. Jackson, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
I think that's something we as a committee can also look into, and also the ANC more in depth. I'm not sure if Mr. Jackson or Mr. or Keaton right now have that exact answer right now, Frank.
No,
But
I don't, because that wasn't required for the application process.
I think that's a question we have, and I think that's something that I think we would like to follow up. We will try to follow up on. But I'd like to move ahead to Ashley Fields has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be quick. Know a lot of people have different wants, different needs as neighbors in the community. My question was just more so focused on how you plan to sort of attract a different crowd, especially in this area that's typically more clubby, where there is loud music going on and, stuff might be occurring outside. I didn't know if you addressed that yet or.
My goal is to have the opposite crowd that I have at my current place. This place is high end. It's gonna be $15-20 cocktails. And that is gonna draw in a different crowd than currently that the other bars, my surrounding bars and myself kind of offer. It is something that that's my goal. As much as I love my current first bars, I want to be able to sit down and enjoy a conversation with my friends instead of having a little fun around the bars, I guess. Yeah.
And then just a second question, do you plan to have security there or on site or any type of process for that?
Yeah, so we'll definitely have either security and type host style. Basically, it's a combination of both, but we'll definitely have some type of security just to check IDs. And most likely they'll be doing the count of people just in case we're off or anything. But that's why I also want the reservation system, because then I always know how many number of people are in the building at once.
Okay, thank you.
Alex.
Yeah, two quick follow-up questions. One around like kind of the hours of the establishment, just because I'm thinking typical bars versus restaurants often have different hours. And then the second question, just kind of thinking about the vibes you're describing. They sound lovely, by the way. And to me, they remind me like a little bit like Licht Bar, a little further west.
I'm familiar, yeah.
On you, which is a great bar. And but it's also a bar, not a restaurant. And I'm wondering, like, I guess I share some of Frank's skepticism around, like, is this a lovely bar, or is it a restaurant?
Yeah, and I understand. I could see that. Operational wise, I'm hoping to be done by like 1 o'clock on a Friday, Saturday night. Like 1 a.m. is where like we are locked up and closed up. Because I don't think anybody really needs to be drinking martinis past 11:30. And then for the restaurant vibe, it's something that I'll be honest was not in my original plan for things when I wanted to do open another place. So I'm still working on a lot of different aspects for that. But I can guarantee you that like if food is required for things 45%, it will be done. I don't have set concrete plans of the full establishment yet. So those things could be well versed in a lot of those different items. So I do understand the concern.
Got it. Thank you.
We will hand it back to Frank again.
First, I'd like to ask Chair Hanrahan if we can add a piece of new business to discuss the zoning piece and how we might manage it for 5 minutes after the regular business, if there's time. If not, next month is fine. And then secondly, I would like to ask two things with respect. Actually, one last thing, bottle service. Will you be having bottle service or plan on having bottle service? And I don't think there's any special application for that. Can you describe what bottle service is for me? And again, I think you said you won't have it, but what do you know about bottle service? And
What I understand, I don't believe there's a separate license to bottle service. Mr. Jackson could probably clarify that. But bottle service is essentially you buy a bottle of Tito's for up towards $400 or $500, and then you get in a bucket with some ice and cups and your mixers, and essentially people are pouring their own drinks, which is something that I will never get into.
all right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I look forward to chiming in at some point on the settlement agreement. You're probably working with our new commissioner, Commissioner Barrio, I expect. But I hope to be able to take some part in conversations here to work things out and to make sure we're all have good neighborship going on with your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just it doesn't seem like there's any other hands right now. I don't know if there's any hands in the attendees. Just had one question while we have you here, Keaton, and thank you again for having camera on and everything. Just a question. I know what is your kind of like decision thinking with the being like the Dirty Goose owner to try and kind of open up a new entity or kind of like return kind of like coming from the Dirty Goose?
Yeah, so my experience there with Dirty Goose, I was there for 5 years. Pretty much opened it, and
Thank you, Eileen.
yeah. So I mean, this is my business. This is my business. This is my world. The service industry. I've been into it. So natural step after GM is ownership. I enjoy the ownership. I have a great staff. I have less than I think very little turnover in the past 3 years. So I think we've created a really great environment there, and I want to expand it to other places around the neighborhood.
That's great. Yeah, I know. I think I'm still feel like I'm fairly new to DC, but I do remember hearing a lot about the Dirty Goose closing and then it kind of turning into something else. It was getting some press for that. So I'm excited to kind of hear that you are a familiar entity on the block. But also I think we want to try and thread the line with being respectful for the work that's been established, moratorium, as well as some of these concerns. Commissioner Barrio has his hand up. I'm going to allow him to talk.
Hello, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you sharing more information about the proposed business and coming here to talk with us. I'm curious, do you envision there being a line outside? Would this be exclusive, non-exclusive? I'm just curious about sort of what the business might look like from the outside.
Definitely inclusive to everyone. But definitely I do not want a line. The area that we have in front of it is very narrow. There's actually like a tree
Hmm.
right outside of it, and there's 4 steps that are required to get up to the front door. And it is so no line is my goal. I would like that's why I want the reservation system.
Yeah.
So that would be this is the time slot, this is the reservation system for our 2 hour and 30 minute commitment to you,
Hmm.
things of that nature. I don't want I don't want the line I'll say I don't want the line that my current bar has.
Hmm.
Because it is why it's great. It is you do have to control that on the outside and the sidewalk. And I do understand that makes noises for our residents around us. I do think a lot of times, like with bars just in general, like that there's a great vibe inside, and then when it gets to the street is where the issues occur. So control
Sure,
that
yeah.
environment is always been one of my top goals. So I will continue that for this establishment.
Thank you.
I think Committee Member Karen Gall has her hand up.
Yes. And good evening, Mr. Keaton. I am curious. You have several establishments, and I would like to know what's your service history. Do you have a history of any APCA violations with any of your other establishments?
No.
And okay, and so and generally, when you're in the neighborhood, the community with your previous establishments, how have you been received?
As far as I know, very well. I mean, I've had the neighbors, my neighbors are directly behind me on Vermont Street, and I went to each one of their door and said, I'm like, I'm opening a new club here. Excuse me, not a club, tavern. Here's my number. If you have any reason to call me, please call me at any time. So as far as I know, we've been a very good neighbor. Haven't had any complaints. Um, yeah.
And so that's what the previous ones where they were a tavern, and now that you're a restaurant, other than coming to the full ANC that you're interested in, have you received any good responses from the neighbors in regards to your engagement, telling them about your new establishment?
I haven't really done what I did with Kiki. I haven't really pressed to anybody else in my surrounding neighborhood about it, just because I am kind of waiting on this process to make sure that we're good to go on everything. But it's something I will do with the same. I'm very friendly with all uh, my other businesses around me. Talk to them all the time, and I have good rapport with the people on 9th Street, between U Street and Florida Avenue, V Street. So I don't see any hiccups or anything happening.
Okay. In regards to, like you said, you have a good rapport with your with the neighbors that you have around you. In regards to cleanliness, do you frequently like power wash in front of your business? How do you keep cleaning? And then in regards to your customer service, have you ever had a case of over serving any of your customers, whether it was reported or not?
For like cleanliness and things like that, I clean up stuff all the time. Unfortunately, like there's a little planter box in front of one of my businesses that I wish I could get rid of, but unfortunately can. I believe it's a part of the Historical Society, where it just lines up with trash every night. It's a Monday night. I find trash on it Tuesday morning. We're not even opened on Mondays. And so I'm constantly cleaning up the front of my business as much as possible. Regarding like kind of like settlement agreements and stuff, I understand like when we have like, I believe it's a 3-day requirement pickup for our trash. I do 5 days. I don't want any to help out our little four-legged friends in any possible way.
Right.
I want to like get them much as possible. As for over-serving and things like that, my team is well versed in controlling any type of situation. We have my team knows that if somebody wants if we cut somebody off, they're cut off. And when they're cut off, they're asked to leave the premises because at that time they're just taking up space and they're a liability, and so we just don't allow them. When our security team, we have two security team members at the doors who monitor people standing in the line or just walking up prior to them coming into the building to see if they've been having a little too much fun, where we don't let them into the building.
Okay, so that you went into the next level of questions that I had in regards to public safety. Your safety plans for your business, do you know, how often do you do safety training with your staff, and how have they been pretty considerate in regards to the public safety of the neighborhood as well? You know, and do you all have any noise? I mean, a lot of noise coming from any of your businesses, let alone this new one that you're trying to establish. I know that's not haven't been built yet, but
So we as for like trainings and stuff, we do a all-inclusive training about once a year for all members of our community. For public safety, my third-party security company is all certified in basic public safety items. Other items that we've done with my staff, we've done CPR classes, we've done Narcan administration classes, and things of that nature. For I'm not sure how far you want to get into like public safety.
well, it's, you know, because when you serve beverages, alcoholic beverages,
Mm,
and as you mentioned, people tend to have a lot of fun partying. You want to make sure, as you mentioned, the Narcan training and all the other stuff
mm,
that come along with having fun, that you know that your staff is aware of how
mm.
to be safe with the community, and then also to if it's any type of activity that may fall from outside of your establishment onto the street, especially considering this area, you know, I mean, what's your staff's ability to handle things in and outside of your establishments?
Now,
I
as
mean,
far as outside, they're not allowed to get involved on public space. So they keep a police log and they would have to contact MPD, but they're not allowed to intervene in any incident outside on public space because that's a police matter. Also, all of the staff are ABC manager trained on serving and not over serving individuals, and they receive certification for that.
Thank you. That was my last question. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Karen. I would like to note, oh, Keaton, you like to speak? Thank you all. I would like to note that ANC 1B has passed a motion to protest this license. There is a roll call date scheduled for March 3rd. There's a protest hearing date scheduled for April 9th, 2025. I think we will be moving forward with this time. It's outside of the scope of this meeting to kind of change the course of that action right now. So I also wanted to note that we have some other items on the agenda. I want to be mindful of the time, and I want to be mindful of Keaton and Jeff's time for attending here, and some other folks who we've also asked to attend. So I think we're going to hold it for now for questions.
I have one
Right.
more question, please. Thank you. I just wanted to know, Mr. Fedek, are you familiar with the two developing measures, one to install potentially a bid and one a neighborhood management authority? Are you familiar with those efforts?
I am not.
All right, I'd like to chat with you perhaps offline, and I'm going to send you an email. If you can send me an email to fjc99@yahoo.com. Tomorrow night, there's an Economic Development Committee meeting, and there will be views and positions and status of both of those efforts to install what we call a place management entity down the corridor. So would love to have your commitment to some of that and talk to you potentially if
Sure.
you're available. Thank you. fjc99@yahoo.com. And I'll send you the invite to the meeting tomorrow night. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Keaton. Thank you, Jeff, for attending tonight. I don't know if you have any last words to say, but I believe the next item, the next step would be to attend to the roll call hearing date that's scheduled for March 3rd, 2025. I think we'll be in touch via email and with ABCA on the next steps in this process. But I appreciate you so much for showing up tonight. It's been really nice to meet you. Thank you for showing up on camera, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay, rolling along. To do a little time check, it is a little 8:20, but we have a couple more agenda items here. So the next item is a placard that was received by ANC 1B. It is for the holistic district. The address is 2002 17th Street Northwest. It is within SMD 1B07, Commissioner Holden's district. It is for a medical cannabis retailer. The protest petition deadline is 24 March 24th, 2025. So this committee might actually have a chance to meet again before that, but because the protest is about to be voted on by the commission, there at the next commission meeting, there will be a chance for the commission to potentially vote on a protest. But we have invited Mr. Archer, Mr. Kevin Archer, who is the applicant from this business, who is here tonight. Mr. Archer, I'm going to allow you to talk, promote you to panelist, or allow you to talk. Mr. Archer, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your patience in staying on this call. Welcome. Are you able to hear us now?
Yeah, no worries. I've been enjoying the call so far and happy to be here and look forward to speaking with you guys about our vision for our shop on U Street.
Thank you. That's great. I think we're all looking forward to it as well. Can you like Keaton and Mr. Jackson did, can you give us like a little bit of a rundown of kind of your business and the license that you are pursuing?
Certainly. I actually have a deck that I've prepared.
Oh.
If you are able to share my screen, I can kind of run through that with you quickly. I know time might be of the essence here, but I'm happy to go through the deck with you quickly, or I can just kind of give you a quick rundown. You let me know what you.
Yeah. Karen, can we promote Mr.
Just
Archer
promoting as a panelist, so you should be able to share, but it might take a second to adjust.
Yay.
See here. All right. see, share.
Hello.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes,
Sure.
we can see screen.
All right, lovely. Oh, okay. I moved too fast. Apologize.
Hello.
Let's see if I can go back here. There we go. All right. So let me just dive in. I know time is kind of the essence here. I don't want to hold people too long. Our company is called the Holistic District. It is a family-owned business. I'll give you just a little quick background about myself. My wife is here joining me. As I mentioned, it's a family business. I am myself a lifelong Washingtonian. I was actually born in Mount Vernon, New York, but moved to DC when I was 4 months old. So I consider myself a lifetime Washingtonian. My wife is also from the DMV area. She's originally from South Carolina, but been in the DMV area ever since her childhood as well. Um, so we are Washingtonians. We have three sons. Our oldest son is getting ready to graduate from Arizona State University from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. Our middle son is in seventh grade at Brooklyn Middle School in Northeast, close to where we live. We live in the Brooklyn neighborhood. And our youngest son is getting ready to graduate elementary school from Murch Elementary. I myself have been in the healthcare industry in DC for over 15 years, and I'll get into that kind of in the next slide. So I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but um, in 2023 or 2022, actually, the DC Council passed the Medical Cannabis Amendment Act, which opened up opportunities for more medical dispensaries. And kind of given my background in the healthcare sector, I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to get involved in. And so, I came up with the name Holistic District, kind of combining our vision of medical wellness and DC. And so that's how we came up with the name, the Holistic District. Our goal really is to separate ourselves from the traditional cannabis dispensary. As I mentioned, I come from a healthcare background. And so our dispensary is going to be specifically focused on wellness. The vision is for the shop to really look like a spa, if you will. So we're going to have ambient lighting, cascading waterfall walls, kind of relaxing music, spa-like aromas will be, kind of scented in the air. And eventually we plan to get to the point where the staff will have scrubs on, very similar to if you walk into a spa. We really want to kind of create a very zen-like tranquil shopping experience for as I and I think the ABCA does as well, refer to them as patients. So that's kind of our vision for the shop itself, is to be almost identical to a spa, except for we won't be doing massages and facials and those things, but we'll have what I call wellness products. Our line of cannabis will be specifically geared towards wellness. Those will be things like sleep, anxiety, pain. Those are the type of products that we will look to provide uh, for patients that are in need of those kind of products. I'll move along here. This is just a little quick bio about myself. Did my undergrad in health and exercise science at Syracuse University. I've done a master's degree in business administration as well as my Juris Doctorate, both from George Washington University. I was president of a healthcare management company here in DC. We own and operated the JB Johnson Nursing Center that is located right on First and K Street, right by Gonzaga High School. We also had a home care agency as well as an allied health school where we taught licensed practical nursing, nursing assistants, home health aides, pharmacy techs, and massage therapy. I've done extensive training in cannabis as well as CBD, as you see kind of down there, some of the certifications that I hold in the cannabis and CBD space. Here's just a little bit more background on myself. My wife and I are both members of our son's parent teacher student organization. I'm an active volunteer in the community. I've been volunteering as a basketball coach for over 15 years now. I'm very involved in the community. Here are some competitive advantages that we feel we bring to the industry. Of course, we will only employ very highly trained staff. They would have to be trained by either Green Cultured ED or PFC certified Cannabis Business Training Center. Both are ABCR approved medical cannabis training centers. In addition to continuing education, the cannabis laws and space is continuously evolving. So we will make sure that all of our staff are fully trained. As I mentioned, we want to provide a very invigorating shopping experience. So again, it'll be a very zen, tranquil kind of a shopping experience. If you are, I'm sure you guys are probably familiar that as a licensed cannabis dispensary in DC, you are required to purchase your products from a licensed cultivation, a DC licensed cultivation center. So basically, at the end of the day, the dispensaries are, for the most part, selling the same products. And so again, for us, we look to separate ourselves by the shopping experience, but not only just the shopping experience, but our compassion for our patients as well as education. So I'm very big on that in terms of educating our patients and our customers and making sure that they are understanding what it is that they're taking and why they're taking these products. As I mentioned, I have extensive healthcare experience. We certainly, when I put this deck together, we were in the process of looking for a location. We were very pleased with the location that we found. As you see there, security, one of the biggest selling points for us for that location was the fact that it's directly across the street from the 3rd District Police Department. I've actually had a conversation with an officer by the name of Officer Fleming. He is part of the task force that is part of the officers that are going with ABCA to shut down some of these gifting shops. And so him and I have had conversations about security and surveillance and so forth. I'm actually waiting for him to get back to me with a contact over at 3rd District. As you'll see in a future slide, one of the biggest things for me is going to be community engagement and really being involved in the community and partnering with other businesses and other organizations in and around our shop to get ourselves really engaged into the community. Our product line, we will have the typical product, cannabis products, flowers, edibles, tinctures, vapes, concentrates, topicals. But again, as I mentioned, our goal is to provide products that are geared specifically towards wellness. So our products will be geared towards helping with sleep deprivation, pain, anxiety, and so those are kind of the things that we're looking for in a product, not just any kind of selling products just for the sake of selling products. Our goal really is to push wellness behind our products and the reason for our product line. As I mentioned, community engagement is a big part for us. We really want to be a partner in the community, look to provide job opportunities for DC residents, as well as civic duty discounts for teachers, first responders, military members. And again, as I mentioned, I'm very interested in getting involved with 3rd District. I know they do a number of community events, and so we would look to get involved with that as well. And really, our goal is just to become a part of the community. As I mentioned, I'm a lifetime Washingtonian, so I love DC. And my goal is to really just kind of give back to the residents and the community of DC. This is just a quick kind of floor plan. Again, this is a deck that I put together a while back. So this is not really the current layout of the space on U Street, but it's similar. As you'll see, we'll have a reception area, which is there in the front. And then the back area is the cannabis shop. And on the side, we'll have an employee break room, as well as a office. So I can stop sharing my screen. And so, yeah, that is our vision for the holistic district. I've met with Matthew Holden, the commissioner for 107. We had a great meeting a couple days ago. Matthew was gracious enough to send me over a copy of a settlement agreement that the ANC has done in the past. And as I mentioned to Matthew, there's really no provisions in there that I had any issue with. Everything in there is kind of what we are pushing ourselves anyway, in terms of we will allow no consumption in and around the building. We're not looking to apply for a summer garden license or anything of that sort. We are, I've been going to the building a number of times, and parking is certainly very scarce. So that's something that we'll stress to any of our patients that please make sure you don't park illegally. If you do drive, we will try to push for them to commute another way if possible. Our hours will be from 11 to 7. So we don't plan on opening up or being open very late. Myself, I go to bed pretty early myself, so I don't plan on being open for late hours. So everything that really was in that settlement agreement is things that we are planning on doing already. So we are in love with the space.
Thank you, Mr. Archer. Thank you, Mr. Archer. Thank you, Mr. I see Commissioner Holden. This really exciting. I see Commissioner Holden's hand is raised.
Sure.
Oh, I think I have to stop.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Yes. So as Kevin was saying, we met the other day, talked about the neighborhood and the business, and kind of talked about the ANC's role and everything. I shared a settlement agreement and kind of just was like, this is an example of something that we've done with a similar business in the corridor. So kind of what I would like to do, and then obviously feedback from the committee, but and if anyone has questions from residents, but is like work on that settlement agreement, get Kevin, Holistic District, like a clean copy of that, hopefully pretty soon. And if we could try to get into that kind of settlement agreement within like the next month or by like the next meeting would be kind of what I would like to do.
Okay. And please pardon my slight ignorance here, but to get to the settlement agreement, we would be protesting the placard, the license
application. Yes.
So my understanding is it's like we could protest just to, buy time. And then if we do protest, we can always drop the protest once the settlement agreement is signed by the ANC and the business. And then we don't have to have the hearing, there's nothing like that. So basically, What I'm reading on the website, I'm not looking at the full like rules and procedures, but that the settlement agreements need to be voted on by the full ANC. Frank or whoever, if you want to quickly elaborate, does typically the committee also vote on the settlement agreement?
No, but we sometimes see it before it
Okay.
goes to the commission, just, in case there's any feedback that you can take or leave. However, we do need tonight, usually we would protest, and on all cannabis licenses, we've protested to ensure we just have the right to proceed to continue discussions that you'll undertake, Commissioner Holden. So,
Okay.
I just want to make certain. There's been some discussions over the last 6 months that we'll work this outside the process and we don't need to protest. Well, that's not how we've operated. And again, it's just creating a good neighbor agreement, and that's all we're doing for the benefit of the applicant, Mr. Archer. Just not scaring you by the protest process, but we're just engaging you during this process to engage in a settlement agreement. I hope so. If there's a motion, yeah.
Yeah. So just one more question on that. If the committee voted to protest tonight, but then I share the settlement agreement that I shared with Kevin with the whole committee, and then everyone comes to like a neighborhood, like a friendly agreement at the ANC meeting, they could vote to enter the settlement agreement and not protest then. So it wouldn't have to come back to the alcohol committee in March.
Yes, I kind of following to piggyback off that. Is there a way to do an expedited settlement agreement?
I'd love to chime in here as the immediate past chair.
Yes,
Sure.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh no, it's all good. And thank you so much for being on the call, Kevin. We appreciate your deck. We appreciate your time. Again, just echoing your thanks. But of course, yeah, tonight there's a way we normally vote on a recommendation for the full commission so that when we go back to the commission, you have the vote to say 6 members voted in favor of a protest, 4 members voted against, 3 abstained, whatever the numbers are. And then the commission will take that and vote on that for a final action. So tonight, I mean, based upon what we've heard, we could do an initial vote to propose for the March commission meeting. And I also just wanted to flag that, again, you don't have to protest. We could, vote tonight to enter a friendly agreement and protest at the full commission if that's not done before the next commission meeting. But just wanted to give my guidance there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And since I haven't spoken, I my hand lowered by accident, I guess. Is it okay if I speak, Chair?
Please, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Archer, it's as our former commissioner Ashley Fields just mentioned, what she's saying is we it's correct. And also Commissioner Holden, it's correct. We don't have to have a protest because he's already amenable. Mr. Archer is already amenable to the agreement. And
That's incorrect.
Can I finish? Please don't talk over me again. Because he's already amenable to the agreement, it's a great idea because you have a friendly opportunity to work with Mr. Archer here, and you can basically move forward because he's already willing to look into a settlement agreement. Of course, he can use his counsel to draw it up, and the ANC can already use the template to draw it up, Commissioner Holden. And as Commissioner Fields mentioned, a friendly to ensure that Mr. Archer and his establishment is able to take care of in the area the way he has already said that he's going to. But that signing of that agreement just gives that extra security to the community to ensure that we are all on the same page, and the enforcement of it through the commission. You have your new commissioner who is going to be willing to work with you. You have already established a great relationship. And as you mentioned, you're establishing a great relationship with the 3rd District. And I can tell you as the chairwoman of the 3rd District's CAC, right? We're definitely open to work with great businesses. And you've already said that Lieutenant Fleming has spoke with you. He's definitely a great partner to work with, and we have a lot of other MPD officers who are definitely open to working with you. But the public safety is a big concern, making sure that your establishment is safe, especially because of the type of establishment it is. It's really a major concern. So your public safety setup that you have is really, really important because you're vulnerable. And so
Yeah.
we want to make sure, you know, that we are good community partners all around. So I think working with your current commissioner, and since you've already you know, work that out so that we're not trying to stress the establishments. We want those who are good actors, good partners. And I would leave it to your commissioner to work that out with you. Because as a community member on this committee, I certainly, you know, I certainly see you coming in as a new business. And because DC is trying to promote good businesses and good business relationships, I wanted to chime in. Thank you, Chair, for letting me speak. Thank you.
That was a great
If I may
statement.
say,
Thank you, Karen.
thank you, Ms. Gale. And if I certainly would love to speak with you offline, and learn more about your work with third district and see how we can partner together to do some nice things in the community.
Yes, sir. It's if you go to www.3d
Yep.
cac
See.
.org.
Okay.
You can sign up for our meetings, and we have them on the last Thursday of every month at the 3rd District Station.
Sounds good. Will do. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you. At 7 p.m. Sorry.
Frank, you have your hand up.
Yes, just to clarify, the business before us is not to say that you sound like a nice guy and your business looks good. I mean, personally, I've appreciated your presentation and your commitment to the community and your past deeds. However, the business before this committee is to either recommend a protest or not say anything to the commission. And I therefore move that we recommend a protest. And the reason, and I'm going to motion in a second, and it's nothing against you, Mr. Archer, it's just the process. It's just protecting our rights to continue conversation on your settlement agreement, which might be finished tomorrow or the next day or an hour before the commission meeting in March, right? And or maybe an hour after the commission meeting, but we're just protecting our the rights of our neighbors to engage in the process, to engage you. And so the business before this commission is to either protest or to remain silent and not protest. And therefore, nothing further needs to be said. And it sits, therefore, in the hands of the applicant, Mr. Archer, and the commissioner. However, it's my duty to make sure that we hold our rights to continue the negotiation and discussion on the settlement matter. And so therefore, I recommend that I offer a motion to protest on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet, and to recommend to the full ANC to protest this license on the matter of peace, order, and quiet. Peace, order, and quiet.
Before seconding that, I just wanted to raise that Sable Harris did put something in the Q&A as a statement because she couldn't access the chat, and just wanted to uplift that.
Thank you. I do see Commissioner Harris has put this here now. Okay. Okay.
That's not how we did it last year, but I appreciate Commissioner Harris for weighing in. It's up to the discretion of the committee chair. So it's great that you're here on the call leading the committee now. But we do have an opportunity to say which option we are in favor of. And our votes here are important. That's why we're committee members. So just want to exercise that before we move into either accepting a motion or not.
Yes, I agree. I think
I have a motion. I have a motion on the table.
I second the motion.
So now it's time for discussion.
Yes, time for
Motion,
discussion.
second, and discussion. So that's what we're in right now.
Right, we're in time for discussion, and I believe that considering that there is an establishment, a new establishment, in a location that is right across the street from our police station, and a establishment, he is basically, he has shown that he has done the due diligence of being a good establishment owner and provider, not only for the way that he works as a citizen in the community. It's not someone who's trying to be a bad actor. And I see that, and I want to make sure that we allow him to have his full rights to, one, say that, okay, he's entering into a settlement agreement on his own volition, and that's what he chooses to do. And it's something, and having an opportunity to work directly with the commissioner, which he's already started to do. I personally don't think it's a great idea to put him under a protest or at all. He's already said that he wants to sign the friendly settlement agreement, which is what we discussed during the last commission. And so so I want to make sure that you know that, as the historical nature of it, as former Commissioner Fields just mentioned, we need to honor what we said. And I'm not going to try to be loud about it or rude about it and the way in which it was presented. I just want this gentleman, Mr. Archer, and his family to be able to have a business and to be able to be a great neighbor and a great establishment owner here in the ANC 1B area. And I want his new commissioner, to be able to enjoy the opportunity to be a great commissioner and a partner with him in the community. And I think that it'd be great if he just allowed the Mr. Archer to sign the settlement agreement that they're working for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gale.
Thank you, Ms. Gao. And I think there was a couple bit of chaos there for a second, but I think just to kind of go back to the item at hand, I think Frank did the motion to protest this protest the placard on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet. And then I think I did hear a second.
Yeah, that was me. I think that the presentation was great, Mr. Archer, and I do actually support you moving forward. I heard what was said about there just creating more space and time for you to negotiate the settlement agreement and then having it withdrawn. And I am in favor of that process and am not in any way trying to block you from promoting your business.
No, I understand. I appreciate it.
Okay. So open to discussion. Are there any other discussion points that we would like to have right now for this motion at hand? Two hands up. I'm going to call on Alex.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to understand how this all works. But okay, so if this committee votes to with Frank's motion for the protest, or recommend the protest to the full ANC. And Kevin, thank you so much for the presentation. It was a lovely presentation, really well done. And Kevin and the local ANC reach an agreement and a settlement agreement, then this committee gets back together and withdraws the protest, or the full ANC just decides not to protest. If this committee decides not to recommend a protest, and let's say something happens, Kevin and the local ANC are not able to reach an agreement, could the full ANC still protest without this recommendation, I guess?
Yes, they could. So the commission will vote, and so all the commissioners have a chance to weigh in after they hear the committee recommendation. So they could speak to Commissioner Matthew Holden, and there could be a disagreement, and the commission could still choose to protest, and for that prior to the deadline that's required. And then there'll be a roll call hearing where a formal process for negotiations is laid out. the ABCA board will preside over that.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And I guess does the local ANC commissioner have I'm wondering if the local ANC commissioner has a recommendation for whether or not this committee should protest or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's my goal is to have a signed settlement agreement before the next meeting, so the ANC can just vote on the settlement agreement or not. But so that's what I'm endeavoring to do. But if some people would feel more comfortable with protesting just in case that falls through, like, that could be fine. Like, I don't want to dictate what the committee does.
I think just because when Mr. Archer did, he said that he.
Karen, I think I was next,
Oh, I
please.
didn't see your hand, but
A
since
little
I'm talking,
process. Yep, thank you.
Uh,
I just want,
excuse me, could we, yes, please, yes, let's please raise our hands, and then, I think, I don't even know if Commissioner Holden was finished speaking, but Frank,
I
you
don't
did
think
you
it
did have
was.
your
I was actually in the midst of talking to him while he was talking. He wasn't finished speaking, Chair, and I was just sort of giving him some back end conversation. I wasn't asking a question. I was actually answering the commissioner. So, and I would like to finish answering him if that's okay,
okay.
Chair.
You have the floor, Karen, and then
Thank you.
Frank will go to you right after.
Thank you. Commissioner, as I was saying that, Mr. Archer, and his name is Mr. Archer, not Kevin, is Mr. Archer. Mr. Archer, he had made it clear that he read the settlement agreement, example that you had sent him, and he said that he is amenable to everything that was in that settlement agreement because that is exactly what he planned to do. And so when he said that, that means that he was already ready from what we understood and what I heard. And I'm sure that he articulated it beautifully that he was willing to be in that relationship within the commission and to work with you because he told us that that's what he was willing to do. So I would not want to interfere in the relationship and the agreement that you already have in the works. So I think that if you have everything drawn up and Mr. Archer has made it his business to show interest and a true concern to make sure that he's established that relationships with the 1B community, I think we should honor it and move forward because the commission will win and Mr. Archer will also win in this process. Anything else I think is not the best way to go because he's already there. And so I don't think that we should belabor that with a protest because Mr. Archer, I mean, we could ask Mr. Archer because he's right here on the call, and if that's what he's willing to do, and since you want to do it in a expeditious way, I'm sure Commissioner Holden that you already have everything already drawn up.
Commissioner Holden.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, so the only thing that we need to do on that level is I'm creating a clean copy and like swapping out, putting in the correct license and business and dates. And so, I mean, I anticipate I can get that to Mr. Archer by the end of the week. Today's Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, this is sounding great. I want to be a little wary of time. I think we kind of just reached this 9 p.m. mark here. And I think a lot of great points are raised. I want to thank you so much everyone for bearing with me. I think I'm used to this process. I just took the ABCA training a week ago. I think if we had a little more sense, if I knew a little more about the process, it would be helpful. I do think it is sounding like that perhaps we could move forward with both ideas simultaneously. I think that Frank has issued a motion. I think it has been seconded. I think technically, I do believe to hold all parties accountable in this neighborhood friendly agreement, we need to protest, to go to settlement agreement. We can perhaps, if Commissioner Holden and Kevin work together before the ANC meeting, which I believe will be the week of March 1st, to come up with a settlement agreement that can then be voted on at that meeting. That would be great. That way, I think that would be the best outcome in my view. But I think till then, I think we should go ahead with, and I think we should hopefully pursue that option. And then also, I think pursue I think what Frank has done, and move to a vote for the motion to protest.
Chair. Oh yeah, I have
Frank, Frank, I want to be cautious that you don't have your hand up. I think Alex
I
did
had my
have his
hand
hand
up.
up.
I did
Oh.
have my hand up. I've had it up for 15 minutes when committee member Gall decided to take the floor. I will defer to committee member Smith, and then I'd like to make a comment, please.
Okay, I'm going to give you each 30 seconds. That's okay.
Yeah, my question is just around how we would like to address people. I'm happy to address people by their last name if that's the protocol. I meant no offense, Mr. Archer or Kevin, and I'm just curious which you prefer. I would prefer to be called Alex.
I'm comfortable with either. Kevin, Mr. Archer. I will address you guys by your last name, but I'm comfortable with either.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to raise that because Ms. Gale, I assume that's how you would like to be referred, brought that up. And I want to make sure we're being respectful of
Yes,
everyone's
it's
preferences.
Gall, and generally in the professional setting, protocol dictates that we address people by their last name. And I just want to do a professional setting because that allows us to have a good atmosphere in this committee. And I do understand what you're saying, Alex. Sometimes we do like to do that when we get to know people, but when we're dealing with new establishments, it's best if we follow that protocol. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to follow whatever protocol of the committee. In my professional settings, that I've explicitly worked in professional settings where we use first names only. But I'm happy to follow whatever protocol the chair and the committee would like.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Ms. Gall, and thank you, Mr. Archer. I apologize for that. I think I was kind of jumping with some liberties in the naming, but thank you for this. And I think that's something to note for next time, for best ways to go about that. I would Frank, I would like to motion to go to vote on this.
Excuse me, Chair. I've been put off for about 4 minutes now with my hand up appropriately, and I've been in line. So I would like to make some comments. First, I concur with the chair that the community, my neighbors, the neighbors around 17th Street, me, my colleagues here, and my colleagues that aren't here, deserve to protect our rights to protest. All right. And all we're doing is asking that a recommendation, as I've laid on the table, to motion for the full commission to recommend a protest on this license on the order of peace, order, and quiet. And everything we've discussed, the good character, good background of Mr. Archer and his operations and his expertise will all come to fruition through a settlement agreement, hopefully. I can't promise it. Good characters have good intentions. Sometimes things don't happen. So I and we, through my motion, are protecting the community rights to engage in a settlement agreement process that we protect by offering a motion to protest. So I wanted to be clear. I will make one more comment, please, that I do not care for this confusion that's been enumerated this evening. And I do not care for having a timer, Chair, for we've never had a timer. And I think what we say here is important. And what I say here for my neighbors is important. And so therefore my volunteer time is important, and I've never had a timer. I will respect it if these are being adopted for this committee. We don't have rules, all right, before tonight. So it's a little bit frustrating to have to deal with a new set of rules that we've never adopted or had before tonight. So I've said everything I need to say, and I'd like to just stand back behind my motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. I think we're going to move to vote based on what Frank has Frank's motion here. This is the motion to protest the holistic district medical cannabis retailer. Do we motion call for yays to protest the motion from the committee?
I'll vote yay.
All those in favor, please, actually, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you, Alex, for jumping in there. And pardon me for just kind of counting here. 2, 3, 4. I'm seeing 4 yays here. All those against. All those in, please lower your hand. Please lower your hand. And then all those against the motion, please raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing two nays. All those who abstain, I believe the one of the committee members left early, so I believe they abstained. So I think this motion does pass. I think with 4 yays and 2 nays and 1 abstention for this motion just passed for the motion to protest the license on the grounds of quiet, order, and peace, noise, order, and peace, is passed. We will recommend the motion, Frank, the motion to recommend to the ANC committee to vote on a protest to protest the license on the grounds of noise, order, and peace has passed. I will write this up in a transmission to the transmittal to the larger commission meeting. And
point of order, if you would, Chair, or point of issuance. It's important we get the phrase correct because it's legal. It's out of the provisions in the code, and we are if you at least say that on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet. It's those 3 words on the grounds of peace, order, quiet. Thank you.
He actually used each one of them. He just did it in a different order.
Thank you, Ms. Gall. Thank you. I'm Frank. Yes, point taken. Yes, I did. Yes, I did believe I did say them. But I think the point to say them in that specific order it will be noted in the transmittal. Mr. Archer.
Okay, I'm not on mute. I'm just curious, and I hate to drag this on. I know it's getting late, but I just wanted to know: is there any specific concerns in regards to peace, order, and quiet?
There's only certain statutes we can protest under. So peace, order, and quiet is one of them. As you know, if you were within 600 feet of a school, that would be a reason to protest. ANCs are the only people who can protest cannabis licenses. So typically people fall back on the peace, order, and quiet for a protest to support it. But also if if anyone else has other concerns, I see committee member Chauvin came off mute, so welcome his comments.
Yes, peace, order, and quiet is on grounds of protecting the neighbors from possible violence, protecting the neighbors from ensuring there's not a congregation of folks smoking certain substances around the vicinity, on the grounds of ensuring we have security that works for the community, and making sure there's no, trash around, making sure that we have good neighbors, and your policies, as you provided and articulated them, will be enforced and included and enumerated in the agreement to protect the neighbors on those three grounds. So mostly, security, noise, which are enumerated in the two words. Everything you've said, just encapsulated.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, may I speak, please, to answer Mr. Archer? I do have my hand up.
Yes, Ms. Gall.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Archer, and the reason why, and I just want to reiterate the reason why I personally voted against that motion is because everything that you had laid out in your plan of action for your business, it's a spa. It's a spa.
Okay, we're not here defending our
Mr.
votes.
Chauvin, I think
Mr. Chauvin,
it's
would you
Mr.
Point of
Chauvin.
order. Point of order.
Mr. Chauvin,
Mr. Chauvin, Ms. Gall has the time,
A
has the
point of
floor right
order.
now.
A point of order.
Chair, can
I think given
I
the time, I think no, I think to Ms. Gall's point, and then I think we're going to move on to other items.
Well, I have a point of order.
If Mr. Chauvin continues to disrupt while I'm speaking, Chair, I'm really concerned about that behavior.
Yeah, I think that's a point of, I do think that's a point of order. Thank you.
I'm really concerned about the fact that Mr.
This is unbelievable this evening. I have a point of order, and you either address the point of order or call it out of order.
The chair
Yeah.
gave the point of order. The point of order is Karen Gao has the floor. So
The
that's
point-
what we have to go on. We have to go on the
Yeah,
chair's
Mr. Chauvin, the point of order is declined. The point of order is Ms. Gall has the floor
Then
for
I
1
have a
minute.
point of information.
Denied right now.
Okay, on the grounds of
Out of order. Ms. Gall has the floor. Ms. Gall, can you continue, please?
Thank you very much. Mr. Archer, I personally, as a committee member, decided that I wanted to support your establishment based on peace, order, and quiet. I looked at those, considered those because you are an establishment that's a spa, and everything, and your establishment did not have the consumption on or around the premises of the cannabis items. It was just a merchant of those items along with the spa packages, as you indicated. That's the reason why I personally wanted to make sure that I supported your establishment with not, and also because you were amenable to go ahead and sign an agreement with the commission. That's your legally binding agreement. I think that I really wanted to stress that, and just to ensure that you knew your rights, that you did not have to do the agreement, but you were willing to do it. And Mr. and Commissioner Holden was working with you for that. So that's what I wanted to say, Chair, and that's what I wanted to say to the Archers. And thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think in everyone's interest, this motion has been recommended. We will work forward with the recommendation to the larger commission, but I don't think we're going to talk more on this item at this time. This item is adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Archer, for attending here today. Please be in contact with Commissioner Holden, as you guys have been already. I think that's great. I want to, all right, again, I want to, apologize again for some of these hiccups that have happened with some of these processes. It's my first time at the meeting. They get a whole book, Robert's Rules of Orders, so I haven't honestly read too much of it. So, bear with me here. But thank you all. And I think in the interest of time, we need to keep moving forward.
Just
And
quickly, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you guys very much, committee members, chairman. I greatly appreciate your time, and I am happy to move forward with whatever decisions you guys decide, and I'm happy to work amicably with the ANC. Thank you again.
thank you, Mr. Archer. Okay. I did include this item on the agenda. The next item is oh, no, don't want to do that. I don't know how to remove you from the talking field, Mr. Archer, but if you want to stay on, please stay on, but thank you. The next item that that I had listed on the agenda was there was a discrepancy with Whitlow's business on 901 U Street Northwest for an hour dispute. They kind of claimed that the ABCA actually had kind of rescinded their earlier hours operating agreement. We tried to do some kind of research for past settlement agreements, and I think I kind of had reached out to the representative from Whitlow's. They had kind of at this time had indicated to me that they their business at this time was not interested in pursuing this amended would require an amended settlement agreement from the ANC. There was a draft or a nearly finished amended settlement agreement transmittal regarding that. However, I think that was not entirely fully passed and signed by the ANC. I think, however, I think at this time, because the business has responded that they are not this is something that they were not interested in kind of in going for at this time. I think this item is kind of could be on pause, and we will kind of check in on it at the next meeting. I do want to thank Mr. Chauvin for
Just call me Frank.
Frank for I'm going to thank Frank for finding that and sending that to us, sending that information to us. But yes, and Frank, would you like to add anything to that item?
Yeah, they already have the operating hours. They already operate with the expanded operating hours as they requested in a application for expanded hours. All right. So they already have it. They're operating under it. And so the question is, do we just adopt the settlement agreement to incorporate what they're already utilizing and have been licensed to utilize those expanded hours? It's as simple as that. So it really just takes a signature on that 2-page agreement, that they're already using it and it's on that 2-pager. But that's my best understanding as I was handling it last time around. If you get a copy of their license, you'll see the expanded hours on that license.
Thank you. I believe, yes, and I think I reached out to Sarah Wagner from ABCA, and what she sent us is she did not have that extended hours on their license. That was not ABCA. ABCA does not have that. So it also seems like the ANC, yeah, ABCA doesn't have that. Right now, it also seems like the business isn't actively pursuing that at this time. They said like they were interested in, but I just wanted to disclose I did reach out to Sarah Widener at APCA, and they did not send that over. So I do not believe that they have that on their record. Let's give the floor now to Ms. Gall.
Thank you, Chair. I just was curious as to if was that the only reason the establishment is not pursuing it, or was there any additional things? Should we see what it is? Have they been corresponding with you in regards to this? or the commission?
Yeah, there was some correspondence. Again, I think I kind of jumped in on it, and then I was kind of following up with the constituent services folk from ABCA to try and learn kind of where their settlement agreement stood with them. What was kind of sent over seemed to be that at some point that there was a placard that was sent to the committee or to ANC 1B, and I think it was July 2024 for an extended hours. As Frank mentioned, they kind of, and as Frank kind of, I think then sent over to me, there was a letter sent to kind of agree for this amended settlement agreement to change the hours. I don't think it was ultimately signed on by parties, and so I don't think it was legitimized. And now ABCA doesn't have that. This item, if the representative was here and they said they were actively pursuing it, I think it would be something to act on. I think I just wanted to raise this as an item for the commission, for the committee right now. And just as kind of an FYI for something that might come up in the future, but I don't think there's any action to be had at this time. I think I did see someone else's hand though. Miss Fields?
Yeah, I was just gonna go over the timeline because I do remember us reviewing this in May at our ABCA committee meeting. We voted with Frank's motion to protest the change, and he took the lead on negotiations. So I do believe what you're saying. The letter was drafted up. We agreed to it at the ANC meeting, but it never got signed. So I mean, you covered everything, so I just put my hand back down. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Okay, I think Frank, you sent me the letter over. I am going to I'll follow up with I'll reach out again to maybe coordinate with you to just kind of get if there's any more information there, and then maybe follow up with the representative. Last I spoke to the representative, the room said that her client was no longer kind of interested in this at this time. Maybe it's just like the colder weather, like maybe people, yeah, are not, they're not interested for business reasons to extend to this earlier hours this time with the weather, but I think maybe that will change in the spring or in the warmer seasons. So I'd like to just kind of put a pin in this for now, but I think we're gonna have some of the information and some of the context, and I'm glad we were able to speak at it today. Okay. All right. With that, I think that was the last item on my items of business. I know we've exceeded our time. I do know there was a request for an additional item for the arts overlay. I would like to be respectful of that and give that item the floor. Frank, you mentioned this arts overlay. I think the ANC 1B is still currently investigating to what extent this overlay has on the on businesses on the block, to what extent it can be enforced, to what extent it's measured. I think some of these things aren't quite clear. I think someone who is an expert on the housing and zoning committee weighed in on it. I will try and go back to see how they weighed in on, or probably see if I can follow up with them separately to try and hear that again. To be honest, to be frank, I'm a little bit unsure about how either it is enforced or quite measured here in this instance. But I do want to be note it and be respectful of it as a item.
If I,
Frank, I do want to note that I think Alex did have his hand up first. I'm going to go with Alex. Alex, you have the floor.
My question is unrelated to the arts overlay, so I can come back after we finish the arts overlay conversation.
Okay, that sounds good. Frank?
Yes, so I serve on the ZPD committee, and this committee, 4.5 years ago, reviewed the section of the zoning code pertaining to the cap of 50% linear ground floor coverage in every block on U Street and 14th Street. All right, this committee spent probably 6 months on this issue, maybe 9 months, and it was 9 months too much because there were no answers from our officials. And so between this committee and between zoning, I intend on raising this issue till we get some answers. There's an outstanding protocol missing on this matter for 30 years. And it's because of the outstanding protocol that's missing. It's because the cap used to be 25% linear ground floor coverage, and it got raised to 50%. All right. That's two amendments to the arts overlay. The reason it got moved to 50%, the reason it got moved to 50% is because nobody was watching the 25%. And we still have that matter. There's a back end process that needs clarification. So between these two committees, I will ensure that we have the proper discussions, and I will ask this committee and ZBD to ensure we bring the right people to answer this, because it's unacceptable that a protocol is not clarified 30 years into the arts overlay. So I'm happy to discuss this again next time if there's any further information from my pursuit. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, then let's follow up on this item next time, and we're gonna keep follow. I'll try to get some more information from our experts. Alex, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we want to address people as Mr., Miss, whatever, if we should start asking how people like to be addressed, because I don't want to assume people's gender identity based on their appearance when they come on the call, or if they don't come on the call, because many people don't show their video. And so I just like to flag that and I'm 100% on board if that's the professional standards we want to use. I just want to make sure that we do it respectfully of everyone, and make sure we're addressing people how they would like to be addressed.
That's great. Thank you for bringing this up. I think I should have, in their introductions, I think I should have asked for pronouns and more and how you would like to be addressed as in name. And so I think I'm going to our next meeting, if you want to come back for more, I'm going to open with that in our introductions for folks to kind of give us a way for them to address themselves. I like being called chair. That's great. If you keep calling me chair, you can also just call me Steven. Get closer, you can just yell at me and call me Steve too or something as well. But I also want to be respectful for that, and I want to be respectful for everyone here, because we're all giving our time equally at this meeting, and we should all feel as comfortable as possible. So thank you. And I want to give Karen the floor right now.
Yes, and
Miss
Alex,
Gall, sorry.
no, and it's see, the thing is, generally, I guess as we get to know each other, and Mr. Alex, since you prefer to be called Alex, the thing is just I was not really referring to us as committee members generally, because we've gotten to know each other. I haven't met you before, and or Stephen or Rachel, and but it depends on how people wants to do anything. But it's your preference. However, when it comes to addressing new establishment owners and people of the public who are joining in as an opportunity to, because they're here for business, that's what we want to make sure that we keep to those particular protocols. That's what I've been noticing that we've been doing on all the committees, and I do have the opportunity to chair on the majority of the committees here in the 1B commission, and it's up to you. So I just wanted to let you know that. And as far as a vote for it, Rachel had put in the chat that we could vote for it. We can vote on the timer, and we can vote on the excuse me, the Mr. or Mrs. or whatever pronouns we decide to use. It's completely up to the chair. I like calling you chair.
Thank you. I like to be chair too, and it'll help me do a better job and try and be follow Follow Robert's Rules of Orders.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, and I realized I wasn't trying to follow Robert's Rules of Orders when it was seconding that. I was just saying, oh, no, I agree. I do like the timer. I think it's really important to keep people kind of within their time so that we don't run over like this in the future. The other thing is, I think it's really important to address people with respect, but again, like we don't know what people's gender is. If I were to come on camera, you might not guess my gender per se. I have a shorter haircut, right? So I think not assuming that someone's a Mr. or Mrs. I do agree with that. And making sure that we are addressing them with respect by asking them what they prefer ahead of time, so that we can give them the full respect.
Thank you. I will note that I will note this, that we will, I will note this, and then I think at the start of next meeting, I will be sure to ask folks, I'll ask everyone how they would like to be addressed. And when we have guests too, I will also ask them how they would like to be addressed when given the floor. Okay. Okay, with that, I think we are kind of I think we've talked out a lot of stuff today. This has been great. I think I'd like to move to adjournment. I don't think there's any other outstanding items or additional items. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to send out the minutes and follow that up hopefully by Monday. I think we did have a motion, a recommendation for the ANC to protest a placard. And then we also heard lots of testimony from the Lounge U business, and this was a really productive meeting, and it was really pretty exciting, and I think also left with some feedback on how it can be better going forward. And so I'm also going to think about that as chair and try to kind of make sure we have a good system in place where everyone feels like their voices are being heard, and we're all feel like they're being respectful. We're all respectful for each other as well. Yeah. So thank you. At this point, I'm going to join the meeting. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to try, and I'm still figuring out my schedule for the next meeting. So please keep that. Please keep note that that time might change. But going forward, we will be meeting around this time at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month. Karen, Ms. Gall, I do see that your hand is raised.
Just a brief thing, just to thank you for the meeting and great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to working with you guys all as we keep moving forward this year. It's gonna be fun. All right. I had a good time actually. But thank you. Get some dinner if you haven't already, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and have a great week. Stay warm.
Good night.